Remember when going to the movies meant a quick 90-minute escape? These days, you sit down with popcorn and realize you'll be there for almost 3 hours. So why are movies getting longer? And is this good or bad for audiences? Let's break down why runtimes keep stretching, who benefits, and whether this trend is here to stay. Point 1. The old standard. For decades, 90 minutes was the sweet spot. Studios loved it because it meant more showtimes per day. More tickets sold. Audiences loved it because it was short enough for date night or family trips. Think about classics like Back to the Future or The Lion King. Both told epic stories in under 2 hours. So what changed? Point 2. The blockbuster shift. In the 2000s, Hollywood leaned into bigger is better. Superhero movies, fantasy epics, and sprawling franchises took over. Longer runtimes gave space for bigger action set pieces, expanded world building, and of course, more characters to set up the next sequel. Studios realized the longer the movie, the more epic it felt. And audiences kept paying. Point 3. Streaming and binge culture. Then came Netflix and binge watching. We got used to spending 8 hours glued to a series in one weekend. So when you drop a 2-hour, 45-minute blockbuster, audiences are less intimidated. In fact, longer movies now feel like you're getting more value for the ticket price, like a season finale on the big screen. Point 4. Directors' power and prestige. There's also ego. Top directors, Christopher Nolan, Martin Scorsese, James Cameron, push for longer runtimes. To them, the extra 30 to 60 minutes equals artistic control, depth, and prestige. Studios give in because they know these directors deliver box office hits. Point 5. Audience expectations. And here's the kicker. Audiences started expecting it. If a Marvel film came in at 1 hour 45 minutes, fans might feel cheated. Short now feels like less important, while long feels like epic. It's a cultural shift. We used to complain about movies over 2 hours. Now we brag that we sat through a 3-hour superhero saga. Point 6. The downsides. But longer isn't always better. Fewer daily showtimes mean fewer tickets overall. Families with kids often skip the super long films. And let's be honest, not every story needs 180 minutes to be told. Some critics argue movies are bloated, stuffed with subplots that could have been cut. Point 7. What's next? So are movies just going to keep getting longer? Not necessarily. Streaming services are experimenting with both extremes. Shorter 90-minute thrillers for quick hits. Long 3-hour event films for prestige. We may see more of a split. Big screen blockbusters stay long while streaming originals get tighter. So the next time you see a 3-hour runtime, know it's not an accident. It's part art, part business, and part audience demand. Whether you love it or dread it, longer movies are here because we've been trained to expect epic. The real question is, when you buy that extra large popcorn, will it last until the credits roll?
Remember waking up early, pouring a bowl of cereal, and planting yourself in front of the TV for hours of Saturday morning cartoons? Well, they're gone. So why did Saturday morning cartoons vanish, and what replaced them? Let's rewind and unpack how one of childhood's greatest traditions disappeared. Point 1. The Golden Era. For decades, Saturday mornings were sacred. Networks lined up back-to-back cartoons, Looney Tunes, Scooby-Doo, Ninja Turtles. It was cheap programming for broadcasters and an easy way to pull in millions of kids at once. Parents loved it too. Saturday mornings became free babysitting time. Point 2. The business side. Behind the fun was a marketing machine. Toy companies and cereal brands poured money into commercials. The shows themselves often doubled as ads. Think Transformers or G.I. Joe. Saturday mornings weren't just entertainment. They were one giant sales funnel for kids. Point 3. The rules changed. Then, in the 1990s, the government stepped in. New rules limited how much advertising you could aim at kids and required networks to air more educational content. Cartoon blocks shrank. Networks started sliding in shows that technically checked the educational box, but they didn't hook kids the same way. Point 4. Cable took over. At the same time, cable exploded. Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, and Disney Channel offered cartoons 24/7. Why wait until Saturday when you could watch Dexter's Laboratory or SpongeBob anytime you wanted? Saturday mornings lost their unique draw. Point 5. Streaming finished the job. Finally, streaming killed whatever was left. Netflix, YouTube, and Disney Plus let kids watch whatever, whenever. That ritual of all the kids in America tuning in at the same time? Gone. So, Saturday morning cartoons didn't just end. They were squeezed out by new rules, new technology, and new ways of watching. For those who lived it, it was magic. For today's kids, that magic never even existed. And maybe that's the biggest change of all. Entertainment used to be an event. Now, it's just always there, waiting at the push of a button. Once upon a time, this little black plastic box ruled the world. It changed how we watched movies, created entire industries, and then vanished almost overnight. This is the rise and fall of VHS. Let's rewind to the late 1970s when home video was just starting to exist. Point 1. The birth of home video. Before VHS, if you wanted to see a movie, you had to catch it in theaters or wait for a rare TV broadcast. Then came home video. Two competing formats hit the market: Betamax from Sony and VHS from JVC. Betamax was higher quality, but VHS tapes could hold longer recordings, perfect for movies and recording TV shows. That single advantage helped VHS win the format war. Point 2. The explosion of video rental stores. By the 1980s, VHS wasn't just a product, it was a culture. Blockbuster and thousands of mom-and-pop video rental stores exploded across America. Families would spend Friday nights walking the aisles, picking movies together. Owning a VCR turned your living room into your own movie theater. Point 3. A game changer for Hollywood. At first, Hollywood hated VHS. Studios worried that if people could rent movies, they'd stop going to theaters. But soon they realized VHS was a gold mine. Selling tapes became a multi-billion-dollar business. Some movies even made more money on VHS than in theaters. Point 4. The decline begins. By the late 1990s, technology caught up. DVDs arrived with sharper picture, no rewinding, and bonus features. Suddenly, VHS looked clunky. Rental chains flipped to DVDs. Families upgraded their collections. And within a few years, VHS went from dominant to outdated. The fall of Blockbuster. The VHS collapse also set the stage for another downfall: Blockbuster. As DVDs gave way to Netflix and streaming, rental stores couldn't keep up. The death of VHS marked the beginning of the end for the Friday night video store tradition. VHS only lasted a few decades, but it changed everything. It gave us movie nights at home, created entire businesses, and shaped pop culture. Today, it's mostly a collector's item, but for those who lived it, VHS was more than just a format. It was an era. You ever turn on an old sitcom and think, something just feels off? The lighting, the laugh track, the way it looks. Even if the jokes hold up, the whole vibe feels strange. So why do old sitcoms look so weird today? It's not just your imagination. The way sitcoms were filmed, formatted, and delivered in the past makes them feel totally different from modern shows. Let's break it down. Point 1. The aspect ratio problem. First, the screen shape. Most old sitcoms were shot in a 4:3 square format because TVs used to be square. Now, everything is widescreen, 16:9. When you watch an old show on a modern TV, you either see black bars on the sides or a stretched image that looks unnatural. That square framing instantly makes sitcoms feel old. Point 2. Studio lighting and sets. Next, the lighting. Old sitcoms were often filmed on sound stages with super bright, flat lighting, so every gag landed clearly. No shadows, no atmosphere, just clear and consistent. Today, shows use more cinematic lighting and realistic sets, so when you compare, old sitcoms feel a little like a stage play on TV. Point 3. The laugh track factor. Then there's the laugh track. For decades, sitcoms added canned laughter or recorded real audience reactions. At the time, it created a sense of community, like you were watching with a crowd. But today, binge watching alone on Netflix or Hulu, laugh tracks feel fake, even distracting. Modern comedies like The Office or Parks and Recreation ditch them, making the old ones seem outdated. Point 4. The style of storytelling. Old sitcoms were episodic, everything reset by the end of the episode. Characters rarely changed. Modern shows are serialized. Storylines build week to week. Characters evolve. So when we revisit something like Full House or Friends, the formula can feel stiff compared to what we're used to now. Point 5. Technology and quality. Finally, the tech. Many shows from the 70s, 80s, and even 90s were shot on videotape, not film.
Videotape ages poorly. Colors fade, resolution looks soft. Combine that with standard definition on today's HD TVs, and the difference jumps out immediately. So old sitcoms look weird today because of a mix of square screens, bright studio lights, canned laughter, episodic storytelling, and aging video quality. At the time, they felt totally normal. Today, they feel like time capsules. But here's the thing. While the style may look strange, the laughs are timeless. Because no matter the format, good comedy never really gets old. One, the early experiments, 1940s to 1970s. Superheroes first hit the screen in the 1940s with low-budget serials like Batman and Captain Marvel. They were cheap, black and white, and aimed at kids. By the 1960s and 70s, we got colorful TV versions. Adam West's Batman was campy fun, more comedy than action. On the big screen, studios didn't take superheroes seriously. Yet. 2. The breakthrough, 1978 to 1989. Everything changed with Superman the movie in 1978. With Christopher Reeve, epic music, and big-budget effects, audiences finally believed a man could fly. Then, in 1989, Tim Burton's Batman proved superheroes could be dark, stylish, and massive box office hits. These two films showed superheroes weren't just for kids. They could be cultural events. 3. The 90s struggles. But the 90s were messy. For every hit like Batman Returns, there were flops like Steel and Batman and Robin. Studios overloaded on campy villains and toy marketing, and audiences grew tired. By the late 90s, superhero movies looked like they might collapse for good. 4. The modern era begins, 2000s. Then came redemption. In 2000, X-Men reintroduced superheroes with a serious tone and modern storytelling. 2 years later, Spider-Man swung into theaters, breaking records. And in 2005, Batman Begins rebooted The Dark Knight with a gritty, realistic edge. Superheroes were back, bigger than ever. 5. The Marvel Revolution. In 2008, Marvel changed everything with Iron Man. It wasn't just a movie, it was the start of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. For the first time, films were interconnected, building toward massive crossover events like the Avengers. This model dominated the 2010s, turning superheroes into the most powerful genre in Hollywood. 6. The current landscape, Today, superhero movies are everywhere. From Marvel's sprawling universe to DC's reboots, and even experimental takes like Joker, the genre keeps evolving. But now, some say the bubble might be bursting. Audiences are starting to feel fatigue, and box office numbers are slipping. The future of superhero movies may depend on reinvention. But one thing's certain, superheroes always find a way to come back. Because at their core, they're not just about powers or costumes. They're about hope, struggle, and larger-than-life stories. And those never go out of style. I'll create more videos like this. Subscribe to see them. It wasn't just random. The weirdness of 90s cartoons came from a mix of creativity, competition, and cultural shifts that pushed kids' TV into bizarre but unforgettable territory. One, networks in all-out war. The 90s were a golden age of cable. Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, Fox Kids, and Disney Channel were fighting for kids' attention. To stand out, they went weird. Edgy, surreal, and often gross-out humor made shows like Ren and Stimpy, Rocko's Modern Life, and Real Monsters impossible to ignore. 2. Creators had more freedom. In the 80s, cartoons were basically toy commercials. Transformers, G.I. Joe, He-Man. But in the 90s, networks gave creators more control. Animators experimented with absurd premises, unique art styles, and jokes that often went way over kids' heads. That's why so many 90s cartoons feel like they were made by adults entertaining themselves as much as children. 3. The rise of gross-out comedy. The 90s also embraced gross-out humor. Nickelodeon especially leaned into slime, boogers, and bathroom jokes. It felt rebellious, the opposite of polished Disney fairy tales. Cartoons like Ren and Stimpy or Courage the Cowardly Dog shocked parents but thrilled kids who loved the weirdness. 4. Cultural satire in disguise. Many 90s cartoons were secretly satirizing adult life. Rocko's Modern Life poked fun at consumer culture. Animaniacs riffed on Hollywood itself. Even SpongeBob, which started in 1999, was full of absurdist humor rooted in adult sensibilities. The weirdness wasn't just random. It was commentary disguised as kid-friendly chaos. 5. Nostalgia factor. And that's why 90s cartoons stick with us. They were strange, often unsettling, but they pushed boundaries and shaped a generation's sense of humor. Today, when we rewatch them, the weirdness feels like a time capsule of the decade itself. Loud, experimental, and endlessly creative. They may not have always made sense, but that's what made them unforgettable. Subscribe for more videos like these.